Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Homemade. And today we are making a simple baked bean recipe. We're going to go ahead and go over our ingredients because we will need to prepare our chorizo. And I just have a stick of beef chorizo. Now, you can use any type of meat for this recipe. If you don't want to add a meat, that is perfectly fine. But we're going to use chorizo because it gives the baked beans a little more flavor, I feel. Now, for our seasonings, you all, we only have two seasonings, and that is onion powder, and we also have our Creole seasoning because the other seasonings and the other flavor is going to come from the rest of our ingredients. In here, I only have 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. We don't want these beans to be overpowered with sugar, and we're also going to use other sweeteners in there. So we don't want to just pack it down with the sugar. In my food processor, I've already chopped up 1/2 of a purple onion. I chopped up 1/2 of a bell pepper and 2 stalks of celery. Now, if you don't want to chop yours, that fine. That is totally fine. In here, I have 1 cup of fresh pineapples, and I just put them into the food processor and chop them up really fine. If you don't have fresh pineapples, you can use a can of pineapples. In here, I have 2 tablespoons of raw honey. We will be putting 1/3 cup of barbecue sauce. Now, I did not make this barbecue sauce. It is a store-bought barbecue sauce, but if you want to make your own barbecue sauce, that is totally fine. If you want to use a store-bought barbecue sauce, that's totally fine. And in here, I do have 1 teaspoon of just regular grape jelly. Now, again, we have to go to the stove to prepare our chorizo. But before we do, we are going to go ahead mix in all of our ingredients, and that way, once our chorizo is done, we're just able to dump it into the beans that are already mixed and poured into our pans. Now, for our beans, I just have a regular bowl of baked beans, and it's 2 15-ounce cans. If you want to cook more, I would advise you to add more of the other ingredients because this does work well with just the 2 15-ounce cans. So let's go ahead. We're going to dump in our pineapples. Okay. We're going to put in our honey. And again, these beans are really, really, really flavorful. Put in our jelly. And the last thing we're going to put in is our barbecue sauce. Now, for our seasonings, you don't want to overpower your beans with the seasonings. So I'll just sprinkle in a little onion powder, and it'll be just about a teaspoon or a tablespoon. And we'll do the same for the Creole seasoning. And the reason that we're doing the Creole seasonings is because we want it to balance out the sweetness of our beans. We don't want them to be so sweet. So we're just going to mix those up really well. And now we are going to head to the stove to prepare our chorizo. Come back, put it in here, and we are going to put it into our pan to start cooking in an oven that is preheated to 375 degrees. We are going to cover them, and we're going to let them cook covered for 35 minutes. So we're about to start cooking our chorizo, and you all, I just have the regular 9-ounce pack of chorizo. So we'll go ahead, split that open, and just squeeze it into our skillet. And I do have my skillet on medium to high heat. And if you want to use ground beef, again, feel free. I just like the taste of the chorizo. It does give your beans a distinct taste. So our chorizo is finished cooking, and if you can see, it can be very oily. So what I like to do is I like to get a spoon that has the holes in it, and I call it my colander spoon. And I just like to make sure that I drain that off really well. Because if you try to do this in a colander, you're wasting your time. You're going to lose most of your meat. Just stir that in there really well. All right. And now we are going to put it into our baking sheet. And you all, the baking sheet is ungreased. And hopefully it'll all fit in here. Make sure I get everything out. Okay. So now I am going to cover this. And I'm going to put it into our 375-degree oven for 35 minutes. Well, 30 to 35 minutes. After that, I'm going to come back, uncover it, and I'm going to let it cook for about 15 or 20 minutes more uncovered. We'll take it out, let it rest for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and sample this goodness. We're back. Our beans have cooked. Now, I did cook them in the oven covered for about 40 minutes. I removed the covering and I let them cook for about another 10 or 15 minutes. These beans smell amazing. They are still hot, but I am ready to taste these. Mm-hmm. The flavor is awesome. You can taste the barbecue sauce. You can taste your pineapples. You can taste your trinity, your onion, your bell pepper, and your celery. The flavors of the Cajun seasoning and things that we put into there, they are not overpowering. We can taste the chorizo. So you all, when you make these beans, because you will make, mm, make sure you leave your pictures. Give your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. If you changed something, if you used a ground chicken or a ground beef instead of the chorizo, even if you use the chorizo, let me know. I want to know. Also, if you want to keep seeing our easy homemade recipes, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our channel. You as I always say, cooking is as easy or as hard as you make it. But I promise you, if you just keep it simple, be yourself, life in itself can be so much easier. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Homemade. And until next time, continue to be